A warm welcome to today's video, which will be explaining the intuition and deduction thesis from Descartes for A-level philosophy. Let's begin with defining terms. Now, an intuition is a single, unified, instantaneous thought. It's true immediately and it is self-evident. For example, all triangles have three sides. That's intuition. Now, a deduction is different. A deduction is the inference that necessarily follows from a premise or a set of premises. For example, a syllogism is a type of deductive argument, and a syllogism has two premises and one conclusion. Socrates is a man, all men are mortal, therefore Socrates is mortal. Now, that's the terms that you need to understand. Let's look at the arguments. As you can see here, once we've understood the distinction between the terms, we need to understand Descartes' notion of clear and distinct ideas. And that's here. So clear and distinct ideas are ideas which are present in the mind, clear, and separated from other ideas, distinct. So a clear idea is one that we're thinking of at the moment, and then it must also be separated from other ideas. Pain, for example, if you bang your knee, it's a bit of you get the pain in your knee, but there's also just a general shock. Maybe you feel a tiny bit nauseous as well. If you're kicked in a private area, for example, you might also feel that. It's not distinct because you feel it in a number of places, and it's sort of attached to other things like annoyance, maybe nausea. Now that's different to our idea of self, or the cogito, for example. And that's a clear idea, but it's also completely separate from anything else. When we think of it, when we think, I think, therefore I am, I doubt, therefore I think, therefore I am, that's cogito. When you think about that, that's just held within the mind. And so that's a distinct idea. Now, cogito, I think, therefore I am. Once you've understood the clear and distinct ideas, Descartes then tries to establish cogito. Now, the reason we need to know cogito, and the reason for all of this pursuit, is Descartes wants to establish infallible knowledge that's known a priori. He has an approach which is foundationalist, and his foundation must be certain, so he can build up all other knowledge about the world from that. Now, he can't know anything because he's doubted everything with his three waves of doubt. And so all he knows is that he doubts. And there's a special relationship here going on between doubt and thought. Because I'm doubting, I'm thinking. And because I'm thinking, I exist. Because you can't think and not exist. That's a contradiction. And you must be thinking in order to doubt. And so we have this really nice connection. Doubting shows that I'm existing. And that's also a clear and distinct idea. Now, this leads to a number of things. Descartes really needs to prove the existence of God. Now, he's proved that he exists, but what he hasn't proved is anything else. And so Descartes has a clear and distinct idea of God. And because he has a clear and distinct idea of God, God is going to help him by proving the existence of the world. But first he needs to prove the existence of God. So the first proof is that he has a clear and distinct idea of God. And because he has this idea of God, God must exist. And that's known as the trademark argument. So the trademark argument is as follows. As a finite substance, I cannot conceive of infinite substance. I have an idea of God, and because like causes have like effects, my idea of God derives from God himself. So the only reason why we have the idea of God is because the idea comes from God. And that means God exists. And so that's the trademark argument. Now, we also have an ontological argument from Descartes. Very simple. God has all perfections. God is a perfect being. Existence is a perfection, because to not exist would not be a perfection. So to exist is a perfection. God exists, as for God not to exist is self-contradictory. That's the ontological argument. We will loop back over the criticisms, but I thought we should understand all the working parts first, then go back over the criticisms. So we've got the ontological argument, we've got the trademark argument, and so Descartes has showed that the self exists, he exists. He's shown that God exists, and now he needs to prove that the external world exists, that everything else around him exists. And he uses two different arguments. He uses an argument from imagination, and then he uses an argument about involuntary experiences. So, imagination and understanding. We know that these are different. I know that I can imagine things because I can't doubt that faculty of my mind. And I know that I understand things. Again, I can't doubt that faculty of the mind. Imagination is not essential for me, but understanding is essential, as I can only be a thinking thing with understanding. Remember that Descartes' whole notion of self is about him being a thinking thing, and the thinking thing is in the mind, and it's not a thing which has extension, it's not a brain, it's different. And then we have physical substance. So we have thinking things and we have physical substance. We know that imagination is different from understanding, and I can tell that I'm not imagining. Again, because I'm familiar with that faculty in my mind. Now, we have imagination, and the best explanation for this is that it depends on my body and draws from experience of physical objects. So that's the argument from imagination. And then another argument is from involuntary experiences. So I have an involuntary experience of pain, for example, and this experience of pain could be caused by physical objects, the table that my knee bangs into, or it could be caused by God. And God is no deceiver. God is this perfect being. He's not an evil demon. God is perfect. And that means that my perceptions are accurate, and physical objects do in fact cause my involuntary experiences. God is not a deceiver, and so my perceptions aren't caused by electric wiring or an evil demon, because God exists, and we know God exists because Descartes proved it. And so my experiences of the world are accurate and true, so there's no reason to doubt them. And that's how we can show that the self exists, that God exists, and that physical objects exist. In part 2 of this video, we will explore the criticisms. Thank you for watching.